This is Season of Discovery, and the runes we now have for Warlocks are going to change everything about how we play. But don't worry, because you've got me to guide you through every step of the way. First up, let's look at races and which you should be choosing. For Alliance, we have the choices of Human and Gnome, and for Horde, it's going to be Orcs and Undead. If you are looking at Alliance, then the one I would prefer and suggest you to choose is going to be Gnomes, mainly because they have an expansive mind racial, which increases intelligence by 5%. Overall, this is going to enhance your mana pool, and you're going to get a slightly smaller boost to your crit chance, overall contributing to a better DPS output. Humans, however, don't have a very good racials. They do have an increased spirit of 5%, but for Warlocks, it's not quite as important. They do have diplomacy, however, increasing their reputation gain, which could be useful depending if you're going to get some of the PvP acquiring items. For Horde, then, we've got the choice again between Undead and Orc, and honestly, it's a tough one. I would say they both have great utility with the Will of the Forsaken immunity racial, which it makes you immune to charm, fear, and sleep while active. And with Orcs, they have things like hardiness, which gives you a chance to resist stuns. But overall, it doesn't really matter which one you're going to pick. Something that does matter then is the stat priority, of course. Number one, we are going to want that hit chance so that we're hitting as many of our spells as possible. Next up is going to be spell damage. This is, of course, is going to be a direct increase to our DPS. Then it's going to be crit chance, then intellect, and lastly, stamina, which is going to help improve our health and endurance, meaning we can stay alive even easier. Now let's look at the best gear you should be aiming for. Now I did notice that on both Wowhead and Icy Veins, some of the gear just didn't make sense or was actually unobtainable at our level. So I've trawled through the internet to give you the best list possible. So from the helm, we've got the Dread Mage hat, which is from the You Have Served Us Well quest. The neck is from Baron Aquinas in Black Fathom Depths Raid. The shoulders, Magician's Mantle, are going to be BOE, same as the back, chest, and wrists. You will be able to get these on the auction house. I say, hopefully, fingers crossed, some of these could be a bit high level. And that is going to be the same like for the weapon down here, Staff of the Shade. It is from Razorfen Crawl, which is a level 30 plus dungeon, meaning that some people may be able to get it. It may be, around, but it could be difficult or nearly impossible to get. But when I do say these are best in slot, this is equipable at level 25. So you can use these at 25 if you can get your hands on them. Then we've got the Belt of Aragol from Archmage Aragol and Shadowfang Keep. Shadowfang Keep is a fantastic dungeon for cloth wearers. There's about 3 or 4 different items that drop off just mainly 2 bosses, being Nando's and Aragol himself. And they drop some really, really fantastic gear. Another way that we can get a lot of gear is, as you can see here, the Hands of Darkness from Tailoring. There's the Extra Planar Spider Silk Boots from Tailoring. And there's also a blue pair of boots you can get from Tailoring, which are really useful as well. Basically, go tailoring if you want to pick a profession. And then for your second profession, because things can be quite expensive, especially with all these BOEs around on the auction house, I would say maybe getting like herbalism or mining, something like that. Just something that's easy that you can just kind of offload things onto the auction house and hopefully bring in a bit of money so that you can actually afford all of these amazing bind and equip items. Next up is runes. This is the exciting bit, of course. The 3 we're going to want to take for this Affliction Warlock Haunt build is going to be Incinerate, Haunt, and Master Channeler. Now, Incinerate is a damage spell that is going to increase your fire damage done by 25% for the next 15 seconds after using it. And we are going to be using the Immolate spell in our rotation as well, so this is going to benefit from this. Secondary is Haunt, which is going to deal damage, and increase damage you do to the target by 20%. Once the effect ends, you are then healed by the amount of damage that you have done. Also, this is fantastic for survivability and, of course, the actual damage that we are doing to our target. Specifically regarding the damage we are going to be increasing from Haunt, it is actually going to be our shadow damage. And this is going to play into the talent tree we're picking, specifically a talent called Nightfall, which is going to proc our Shadow Bolt. More on that in a minute. Last but certainly not least is Master Channeler. Our Drain Life spell is no longer channeled. It's going to last 15 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. It is going to cost 100% more mana, however, but it is also going to heal you for 50% more. If you don't know how Drain Life works, it's usually 5 seconds. So this is going to transform it into a triple long ability, and is of course going to give us additional healing on top of the amount that it usually does. Because our usual Drain Life is also channeled, this is now going to be instant, and therefore it means that we can actually add in more filler spells, etc., while getting some self-healing. Now looking at the talents we should go for, this is the build I recommend here. Quite simply, everything we're doing is going into Affliction. 2 out of 10 points into Suppression, that's the top left one, reducing the chance for enemies to resist your Affliction spells by 4%. Then, as well, on the top row is 5 out of 5 points into Improved Corruption. This is going to reduce the cast time of your Corruption by 2 seconds. On the second row then, we're going for Improved Life Tap, increasing the amount of mana awarded by your Life Tap by 20%. And 5 out of 5 points into Improved Drain Life. Remember, Drain Life we are actually going to change with our Channeled Life rune. This is going to increase the health drained by your Drain Life by 10%. And then we've got 1 point into Amplify Curse, and this is a cooldown we can use at 3 minutes, increasing the effect of your next curse or weakness or curse of agony by 50%, or your next curse of exhaustion by 20%, and it lasts 30 seconds. Then our last point is going into Nightfall. This is going to give our Corruption and Drain Life spells a 2% chance for us to enter a Shadow Trance state after damaging our opponent. When you enter this state, it is going to reduce the cast time of your Shadow Bolt by 100%. It will be instant. And we are going to be looking at using that as much as possible in the rotation, which is now. So, very simple rotation here. First of all, we're going to use our Haunt. Then we're going to use our Life Drain. Remember, we've got our Channeled Life rune for that. Then we're going to use our Corruption and Curse of Agony. Then we're going to use Incinerate. Then we're going to use Immolate, remember, because we've got increased fire damage from our Incinerate. We're going to use Life Tap to get that mana back whenever we need it. Of course, not using this when we're at really low health. If we have the health available, you can use your Life Tap. It's going to be really, really useful. And then these are our Shadow Bolt procs from our Nightfall talent that we're going to be using as much as possible whenever they proc, to put it simply. And that is it. That is how you play Affliction Warlock with the Haunt build in Season of Discovery. Thank you for watching. Make sure to click that subscribe button below and hit the thumbs up if you liked it. I am now launching a Patreon, which I'll also put a link down below, which is going to have a ton of benefits, and you're going to get these guides before anyone else, sometimes even multiple days in advance. And don't forget, of course, to check out my channel down below where I have tons of other class guides for you.